And yet again, we are back. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Post Podium Podcast, house of all truth, no sodium. I am your co-host, Aramis.
I'm Keyshawn, and as always, where would you rather be than right here,
Right
now?
That's right. That's right. Where would you rather be? Nowhere. Nowhere. So let's get it cracking, man. We back with another one, and today's gonna be just as interesting as all the others. And we're gonna start off. So we're working out new segments now, and I loved it last week. It was just kind of something that was brought to the table by brother Keyshawn, and I'm feeling it. And we both loved it, so we're gonna start off with we're gonna call it news around the league for now. But we'll come up with something a little bit better than that.
I mean, yeah, we could do that. I mean, that wasn't actually we're gonna say it. That was more so just on my notes, just the news around the league. I mean, you gotta jazz it up.
Yeah, right.
Put some pizzazz on
it. Always. That's how I roll. That's how. But we gonna put something to it. Don't worry about that. But man, I can't wait to get to this list. We got to get through the news so we can get to this list. But let's start off. Let's start off with the. Let's see. How can I say this? Do I want to say a black eye on the Bills?
Another one?
Do we? Well, yeah. I mean, according to everything.
Well, this is the first one because we got another one later. Go ahead.
So Ron Raccuia. This is very reminiscent of one.
Is this Russ Brandon? Is this in that area?
That's exactly who I was thinking about. Russ Brandon. Except it's not sexual harassment related.
Right.
But I mean, what happened with Ron?
I don't honestly. You know more than I do about this. I know he parted ways with the team. Parted ways with the team. Yeah, finger quotes. He had a long, drawn out speech that it was written by some PR. He probably never proofread it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about my future, and I'm excited about the next endeavor I have. But come on now, every time you do this, don't do that.
Right.
Give me some raw and cut. Tell me I hate your father. Tell me something.
I hate your dad. I hate your mama.
I mean, when you respect that more, I'm tired of people with that PR answer that nice. You're a millionaire. If you invest it right, you don't really need that much money.
He still owns at Pro Sports.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't know this. He only sold the sports division to Pagula and PNC.
Right.
But he still owns, the office furniture division, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But here's the deal. This is another staff member leaving the Bills under a negative pretense. I don't know if we've said this outright on the show, but my sources have given me some information in terms of staff movement with the Bills, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this staff movement, and I mean people leaving the Bills, come to find out, after Ron leaves, that he was a big part of the reason that those people left the Bills, mm-hmm. right? So now let's move to the real reason why Ron is not here anymore. He did get fired. Let's lay it out there like that, flat out, clear out. He got fired.
Now, was it one of those deals where they offered him to either step down or get fired, or was it somewhere he didn't even know?
No, it wasn't even. Well, it was done a little bit differently, right? I think, according to what I've heard, mm-hmm. I think Pagula tried to help Ron because the main issue was Ron was having some issues with the team, the actual players, right? He wasn't getting along with them. Mm-hmm. And so, naturally that stuff's, it makes its way up the chain and eventually the owner hears about it, right? So what Pagula tried to do was he tried to create a buffer in the form of a management team, right? So Ron would essentially still be the COO. He'd run the operations, but he'd have a management team, directly under him that would, be more hands-on and kind of act as a buffer between, everyone and Ron. And as far as I know to this point, with the information that I have, there was one guy specifically that Ron did not want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to pull up the list of the staff, the Bills management team.
It's funny how this works out because he was so instrumental in the stadium, the new stadium. Is coming. It was at 2027, 2026, whatever it is. He was pretty much the PR mouthpiece for all that. He was doing spots on GR, doing
Absolutely.
spots, and so this news was something I didn't see coming. I mean, honestly, let's face it. Outside of McDermott, Bean, Overdorf, and people like that, we really don't put too much thought into them. So, when I heard about Ron Raccuia on GR and all those shows, I just know the voice. And I know what he was going to talk about, but it wasn't going to be something because I don't have a lot of investment in the actual building of the stadium. It doesn't matter to me as much. Yeah. We need one, of course, but it's not something I get excited about. So when I hear the name, it's like, all right, whatever. I don't really know what he does.
Right.
So when this happened and you text me, what you know, and I'm like, wow, this is it's not even really him. It's just what he embodies. What he represents at this point in time, and positive or negative. It's not that I'm saying that he's a negative guy or that he brought a black cloud or a stain to the team per se. I'm just saying that he's part of the team that we don't really hear or care to really invest our time into.
Well, I'm not done yet.
No. Well, what I'm saying is when I heard it, that's why I don't have a lot on this, because when I heard it, I didn't know who he was. I know the name, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
So yeah, you continue.
But so obviously we could thank Ron for things like PSLs and stuff like that, right? The stadium deal, that was all him.
Yep.
But back to who he had a problem with. John Roth is now the executive vice president and COO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was supposed to be the shoulder to shoulder guy with goodness gracious, my brain today. With Ron Raccuia, right? And there were 4 other people that were supposed to be part of this management team. Ron wanted no part of that, right? Because he wanted no part of that, what option did he leave Pegula at that point?
Right.
Than to say, okay, well, I'm sorry, dude, you got to roll. So that's the conclusion of that situation. Now, we do need it to be noted, right? Because you and I are brothers, right? And there's always a little bit of a sore spot when you hear certain things, like what I've heard. And when I mentioned the staff that left the Bills, it was only about 3 or 4. Actually, it was 4. The wide receivers coach that went to Carolina. Their oh my gosh, I don't know the name. I can't remember the name of the position offhand, but it was the guy who worked with their alumni. Okay. Their HR person, and there was one other person other than that. All minorities. They all left. They couldn't deal with it anymore. Okay. It was also made known to me that Frazier had a little bit of an issue with just the lack of minority presence, both at the building and at there was a party in particular where he mentioned to Sean McDermott, hey, I feel like I'm the only one here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, obviously the majority of the team is minority. Right. And when you have staff people who are minority leaving the building and he's having an issue with the team who is majority minority players, I'm not going to draw any conclusions. I'm not going to say it, but I'll let people draw their own conclusions with that. But that becomes, in my mind, a major black eye. And, I don't want to say that that's how everybody else in the building feels.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think changes get made unless stuff like this comes out. And I think this Ron Raccuia situation reached a boiling point in the same way that the Russ Brandon situation did, where if we don't do something now, something is going to leak and we're going to have a much bigger problem. And the Bills have done a fantastic job with trying to nip as much of these stories in the bud before they become major press and major news and all that kind of stuff, right? The only slip up in the last 6 years has been the Russ Brandon thing, which didn't even really become big national news,
big deal.
Right? And this Sean McDermott business last month.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two things that have really been of any type of big news coming from One Bills Drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to hear this. I want people to draw their own conclusion from it. If you don't, if you feel like you need to do your own research, by all means, okay? But based on what I've been told, based on what I'm hearing, that's the situation with Ron. Bless his heart for everything that he did with the stadium. I am not thankful for PSLs. I think, in terms of having access to great seating and things like box seats and stuff like that, I think the current stadium allows for more access by more people, and when you start to include PSLs into the mix, you already know those are going to be box seats with the heaters, 50-yard line, all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be an amount that most people probably won't be able to afford.
Won't be able to or won't want to.
Right.
I mean, they are. I think they're doing the standing room only areas too, though. So I think they said the capacity is not as bad of a disparity as they thought it was originally. So yeah. So long run. Best of luck to you.
Yep.
So you good on that one, or
I'm good on that one. I don't need to.
I ain't want to exhaust you. I'm gonna let you recoup because we're not gonna go to the second black eye yet. We'll go to other stuff.
Wait, is this the one that I'm thinking about?
I think it might be.
Okay, we'll see.
It might be.
See. Let's go next one.
Go to run the league. Let's see. When Andy Reid was asked whether Chris Jones, the defensive tackle, star defensive tackle, was going to show up to training camp, he said per Miles Simmons, I don't know that. I have to see how this goes. I mean, there's communication going on, and that's the important part. We just have to see. Now, for those of you that don't know, Chris Jones is in line for a massive raise, and he's a possible holdout for this training camp and going forward. What he's seeking right now is $32.2 per year average salary over 4 years, which would make him the top dog in defensive tackles.
Oh, he's trying to get his money. This dude is 29 years old.
Yeah, a 4-year deal worth $128.9 million.
Oh, he's trying to
eat.
Money.
I mean, but he's still the number one. I mean, is he not the number one defensive tackle in the league still?
I would say. Well, I mean, let's go through it. So, who else is up there?
You got Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald has to be number one. He has to be.
Based on last year, is he? I mean, he didn't do a lot. I mean, his whole body of work, yeah, but from last year, I wouldn't say though.
I would say this. I think Chris Jones has had better defensive help on the line than Aaron Donald has over the entirety of their careers.
You think so?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really, Von Miller and Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, but we're talking about a 32-year-old Von Miller and a Leonard Floyd who still decent pass rusher.
I mean, they who did Kansas City really have? They had Frank Clark. They had
Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd was there for a year, and Von Miller was there for 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm trying to think. I'm struggling.
No, he was there for 2 or 3 months.
I'm struggling to try to figure out who really was there for Kansas City. I mean, you had
Frank Clark.
Okay.
Justin Houston.
Okay.
They had I think Nandi is still there.
Derry Nadi?
Nadi.
Yeah, he's there. I mean, he's solid, you know. So I mean,
let's go through it.
I mean, it's debatable. So I think I think that he does deserve that that contract. You look at what he does and down in and down out, and especially if you're looking at a 4-year contract where he's still, you say he's 29 now, 28, 29? So he's going to be 31 or 32. It's a good thing to do it now, before the well runs dry.
Yeah.
Also around the league, you're looking at. Oh, you're still looking at the roster for.
So they have Chris Jones as the number 2 defensive tackle in the league.
Behind Donald?
I'm assuming so, yeah, because then they got Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
Now, this is from – who wrote this? This is Dalton Miller for – what in the world? No thanks. All these ads keep popping up. This is Pro Football Network.
Mm-hmm.
Their website. Dalton Miller wrote this, and he's saying, based on his research, Chris Jones is number 2, Jeffrey Simmons is number 3, Quinnen Williams is number 4, Dexter Lawrence is number 5, Cameron Hayward, yeah, he's up there. He's number 6. DeForest Buckner, forgot about him. He's number 7. Jonathan Allen.
Yep.
I might have him ahead of DeForest Buckner, honestly.
Who's the
Kenny
guy?
Clark.
Yeah, who's it? Kenny
Clark, who should probably be a lot higher than that for the position that he's played. He's played nose, but he's a lot like Jordan Phillips.
Okay.
So big guy. I think he's only like 6'3", 320 something pounds.
Dude, sidebar. I just saw Jordan Phillips.
You did?
Yeah. I was shocked that he does not look as big as he does on TV. Like,
Nobody
not even
looks
close.
as big as they do on TV.
But not even. No, I'm saying not even close.
You are 6'6", a solid real life 6'6".
Yeah.
Anybody who is your height is not gonna look big to you.
But he's tall. But with what, you see you hear 330, 340, you're like, oh man, no, this dude can go play ball. He can go to Delaware Park and hoop right now.
So it looks more like muscle on him.
He looks like a bigger basketball player.
I mean, that's good.
Not really muscular per se, but like he's not. You know how you see some guys just sloppy in it. Yeah. No, he's. And when you're 340, you're like, you expect a 2-seater or whatever it may. Nah, this dude,
yeah, like Deion Dawkins looks like a
See, that's kind of more the body shape that I expected.
Yeah,
he
would probably have to do that though. Like not a lot of guys can pack on 320 pounds or well, I think Phillips is listed at 330 last
330,
year.
340. Yeah, he's always 330, 340. So that's in my
his
mind.
Height, he can probably pack on that weight a lot better.
Deion's 6'4".
Yeah, but just the body composition, like
yeah, that's the thing, the different body. But I see that's the thing when you see it on TV, and then you hear people talk about how big these guys are, just massive human beings, and then you see them, you're like, nah. I mean, you're not small.
I get it.
You're not little, but you are a Homo sapien like the rest of us. That's the part that.
What are you expecting? These
I don't
Atlantean
know.
giants?
And I'm huge, and I'm thinking these guys are gonna dwarf me, but they don't. Like I will say, the only person that to this day, actually, it's 2 people to this day I've seen. Takeo Spikes is every bit of the size of that neck is
6'2",
ridiculous. He's not tall, but he's like his neck is literally like that. And Tyan Seki. Tyan Seki is every bit of 6'8", 330, 340. Every bit.
Wow.
Every time I saw this guy, I thought he was somebody's bouncer. I was looking for like a celebrity or something, but it's just him. But I mean, there's people like that is larger in life. So when you see like a Jordan Phillips and stuff like that, you're like, okay, I can see it, but I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
imagine seeing Trent Brown in person, man.
Yeah, I know.
Goodness gracious.
I know. But like you said, the number 2 guy, and I mean Donald. Even if Donald's number 1, Donald's what 31, 32 maybe. So is Donald about 31, 32? Aaron Donald? Because he's talking about retirement. So this is going to be the top dog right here.
I know how old Ron is. Let me see. Sorry about that. He's 32.
Yeah, so he's talking about retirement. He's on his way out. So Chris Jones is going to be the top dog for a couple years. Yeah. Probably the length of that 4-year contract.
Yeah, I mean he can, with what he's done for that defense. I mean we have to be like, and I don't know why the Chiefs just don't get this done. I want to give them credit because they've been masterful with their cap situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they started what, 7 defensive players last year that had less than
about a bunch of youth. They had a bunch of youth on the team. No, they had a bunch of youth on the team. You know, 1-2-year guys.
Right. So, you know, I want to give them credit to say that, you know, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
You know, and you know, maybe this is just a negotiation tactic, or, you know, maybe sitting out this long is a negotiation tactic for Chris Jones just to try and maximize how much he can get.
Right.
You know, but I think ultimately both sides want to get this deal done. I really cannot imagine Chris Jones sitting out for the sake of money.
No, because you're looking at he's making $20 million now. So
exactly, and on top of that, he's had the best shots at Super Bowls for the last 5 years.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, like you know, if it was me and I had that, you know, status in the league and stuff like that, like, okay, cool, but man, you know, my legendary status in the long run is probably going to mean more than how much I made.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, with my business mind, you can invest, you can build a business, you can, you know, whatever. Like, with $20 million, give me $20 million right now. I bet you I'll be a billionaire in 5 years. Like, for real. It's, you know what I'm saying? So my mindset on it is, I get it. You don't want to leave any money on the table, but Chris Jones, man, you got to get the deal done.
I mean, he's gonna get, you know, 28, 29 mil. He's gonna get close. He's not gonna get 30, I don't think, because they don't have a lot of money. You know, you're talking about a quarterback that's getting paid like Patrick Mahomes does. Right. Then you have a defensive tackle that's making, you know, 32. It's just not feasible. But stranger things have happened. So we'll see what happens. We'll just keep an eye on that situation. Now, to liven this up a little bit, I had something that has nothing to do with the Bills. I actually I listened to a podcast I usually don't listen to, but something drew me to it. It was The Pivot with Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, and Ryan Clark. These guys, they usually sit on the couch in a room, just have a guest on, they talk, you know, and they had Mike Tomlin on. And I don't remember exactly what elicited the quote, but it hit me real hard. He said, "My failures as a player, I could never live with. I wanted to be a great player, man, and I wasn't, and I never got over that. And I take that same energy into coaching. I think that's why we all coach, man. We really don't want to admit it, but we coach because we cannot play. We could never play, or we can no longer play, or we couldn't play to our vision. Now, when you sit and you peel the layers of this back, you know, this is a Super Bowl coach. This is a to-do. I mean, obviously he didn't play.
He played with Sean McDermott.
Yeah, and that's kind of what drew me to it too. And this, if they're that close, or if they had some kind of relationship, I'm wondering if our coach has the same mantra. You know,
I'm certain he does. I'm certain.
You think he does? You think he?
Obviously, I can't say 100% because I'm not in his brain. I don't know. But if I could take a metal detector test right now, there's nothing in me that has any doubt that that's exactly how McDermott feels. Okay. It's exactly how he feels. Like when you come into a job and you want, first of all, let's take a step back. We have to understand what Sean has gone through in his career as a coordinator. Okay, he got the job in Philly, and I know we broke this down already, but he got the job in Philly, and he lost the job after a year of having it. Right, he never really got a shot the way his predecessor wanted him to have. Right now, when Jim Johnson was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, McDermott was the secondary coach. And then he moves to defensive coordinator in Philly. Then after that, he goes over to Carolina. Okay? He had one good year in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they lose Josh Norman. I think the year after they went to the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
they lose Josh Norman. They bring in 2 rookie corners. The defense is a little bit different because I think that same year, when did Julius Peppers retire?
Did he retire in Carolina though, or did he go elsewhere?
Julius Peppers?
Yeah, didn't he go elsewhere? Like, where did he go?
I don't think so.
I thought he went somewhere else though.
He retired in 2019.
You have his careers up. You can make your point. I mean, it doesn't really have anything. That's just my own thought. So like you said, when it comes to Sean McDermott, I just want to know that my coach has the same kind of fire. I just want to know that it's a self-realization, honestly, and that's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about McDermott having an ego, McDermott having this, having that, and this quote to me is almost stripping down and being naked in front of somebody. He's saying, I wanted to do something else, and I wasn't good enough at it. And I couldn't. There's just people that are better than me.
Yeah, he went to Chicago for a few years?
Chicago, that's where he went. Yep.
So in 2010, right, so 2009, he left Carolina. He was 29. He went to Chicago for 4 years, and then he was with Green Bay for 3 years after that.
Yep.
And then he spent his last 2 years, 37 years of age and 38 years of age, back in Carolina.
So he went back. Okay, so he did retire in Carolina.
Yeah.
I knew he left. Green Bay, I forgot. But, yeah.
So he was gone before McDermott even got there.
Yeah. I was saying, I didn't think he had him. Because he had Coney Ely, he had Quan Short, he had, I forget the other defensive end, but he had Lutulade too.
Star.
Who's it?
He had Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to the quote, I just feel like, this is kind of the nakedness, the transparency that I've been asking for. Like, this is the kind of person that will tell you when something's not, he doesn't say it in a press conference, but he is not going to give you that PR answer all the time. This is not a PR statement. This is something that's from the heart. Something that I feel deeply. I'm a passionate guy, which I just don't think McDermott is locked into that side. I don't think he's emotionally intelligent enough, to think this. I think he's a machine. I really do. And that's not even standing to be funny. I just think that he's a kind of guy that he's a process-driven guy. He's not, he goes analytically. He goes based on.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a deal where it's like, okay, I know my ceiling, and I know where I want to get, but I might need some help to get me there. And that kind of alludes to where we were last week when we said McDermott can get you to the playoffs. He might get you, a couple of games into it, but you're going to need something else. And you're going to have to let your guard, and you got to let your pride aside and say, I need this.
It's his bullishness,
right,
about his own mentality, his confidence. It's almost like it's an unwavering, confidence or just a severe lack of doubt.
Exactly.
Where it kind of removes his ability to be objective about
exactly.
himself.
That's exactly where I'm going. That's what this says to me. Yeah. And looking at this as a guy that is not a bottom feeder in the league, somebody that's had perennial success.
He's won 2 Super Bowls.
Exactly. And even when he didn't win Super Bowls, he's Pittsburgh has been a name. They've been a team, and this is not going back to Jack Lambert. This is not going back to Dave Wanstead. This is now. This is the last 21 years, 22 years of football. And for your coach, your head guy, to have this kind of mind state, my failures. He started off with my failures. He didn't start it off with anything else. But I thought, because at William & Mary, he was the guy. Sean McDermott said he was a star player. And this is, he was a star wide receiver. So when you say my failures as a player, when you were the team at one point in time,
right,
that helps you transcend. Because I wanted to see if I was, I'm like, when did you realize you weren't going to make the league? When did you realize, and the thing is, like, at some point you got to understand, this is going to be it. but he didn't quit.
Right.
When I messed my knee up, I quit. I'm not gonna lie to you, I quit. I took my ball. I went home. I went home because it wasn't as easy as it once was. I was never going to be able to play the game the way I used to be able to play it, the way I knew it. I didn't want to do the work to adapt and get better in a different way.
Right.
I said, if I can't do it the way I want to do it, I'm not doing it. And that's kind of like what you just said about McDermott. I want to do it the way I want to do it, and can he adapt? Sure he can. But will he? That's another story.
Right. And that's really been my hope through all of this is you can see Pittsburgh slowly transitioning and focusing more on the offensive side in terms of the weapons that they get, in terms of the moves that they made for, quarterback, the offensive coordinator that they got. I think when you look at the team as a whole now, you can see that there's more of a balance than there probably has been since they were the Killer Bees. Mm-hmm. Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. I think at the time, Wichita was still there. Who was it? It was Brown. Sanders was still there too when Brown was there, right?
Yep, he was there.
I mean that was an amazing team. Right. But then they went through this transition where they could only win games by defense, and now they've got and I like their quarterback. I think he's
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I think Pickett is a good player. I think he's gonna be that B plus maybe A level quarterback where he may not be a superstar,
He'll do enough
he's
to get
not
you
gonna
there.
lose you games.
Right.
So I say all that to say, it looks like Tomlin is adapting to the surroundings. Everything is moving offense. I know I got to have a quarterback. I know I got to give him some weapons and make his job easier. I know that, we have to have, balance on offense. So I'm eventually going to have to invest in the offensive line as well. Now, they just signed Highsmith to an extension.
Yeah. Was it yesterday, 2 days ago?
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
He got signed to an extension, and that's their other pass. So now they got bookends because Watt's got his deal, Highsmith's got his deal. Their middle linebacker, I think, got extended last year. So their linebackers are set, right? And in that style of defense that they play, it's linebacker centric.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, cool. We solidified the pieces that we need to keep on defense, and we'll fill in the parts that we need to fill, right? They went and traded for a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, paid him. So cap-wise, they probably paid 5 players on that team that have like big, big contracts.
Yeah.
And then they've got this young nucleus of offense, right? Like you can see the game plan. You can see the transition happening where we need this defense to be stout.
That's
right
the thing.
now.
Yeah, like you said, that's the thing. You identify what you have to pay for, and you try to fill in the rest of it. And I think that's kind of where I want to go. Not per se in the show, but kind of where I want to go when thinking about how we're building the Buffalo Bills versus how other teams are building. We're paying for special teams guys. We're paying for this position who might not be as big a factor in what we're trying to do, but because we need them, because we didn't draft, we didn't address it in cheaper fashion. Now we got to spend our money on assets that we really don't really need.
Right.
So like you said, that's a power play move. That's to me how you build a team.
Yeah. So, I like where we're going next.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to see what you got to say about this, but I got some thoughts.
Okay, good. Now, the next thing is, as you can see, he's looking at my screen. The next thing is we were looking at the state of the running backs and their pay. That kind of feeds into what you just said about how Pittsburgh transitioned from like a Jerome Bettis, from who was it? Who did they have? Barry Foster back, well back.
Oh yeah.
To not really worrying about having that bell cow back and having a Devin Singletary with a James Cook with a Naeem Hines with a Zach Moss and let them all go after their contracts are over with. Now you have running backs who are they're holding out because their mind is of old. They're thinking, they need me. Saquon Barkley's and Josh Jacobs and people like that. Which, okay, we do need you to an extent. To an extent, we need you, but we need you to do other things besides run the rock. We need you to do other things besides get hurt. We need you to do other things besides run your mouth. We need you to catch the ball. We need you to block. We need you to be able to play out of the slot. We need you to be.
Wait a second. It sounds like you're siding with the teams.
With the teams? Do I? I don't know.
I'm asking.
No, this is just a genesis.
You think the Giants are right?
That's a different story.
You think Minnesota's right?
When I'm looking at this is what I'm looking at. When I see a Christian McCaffrey, when I see Alvin Kamara, when I see those kind of players, those are the ones that command the money that these guys are asking. And to a degree, they can do it. Okay. But my point is, when you want to get paid $12 million out of a salary cap that your quarterback's getting paid $50, $51, $52 million, you got Chris Jones who's making $32 million, you can't just run the football. You got to be kind of a dual threat because you have these high-flying wide receivers, Steph Diggs, Devontae Adams. You got even the young guys. You got George Pickens. You got Wilson over in we don't have the money to pay these one-dimensional kind of backs. The ones that can, they can rip off big runs, but running back is becoming dime a dozen. So what else are you going to do? To me, what else are you going to do to command $13 million that Saquon Barkley is asking for? Dalvin Cook, he's asking for $8-9 million, which I can see that's feasible. You're a Pro Bowl player. You were the offense. Kirk Cousins, whatever. Dalvin Cook was the major cog in that offense until they got Justin Jefferson. But for guys like Devin Singletary, who got a $3.4 million contract, that's more along the lines of what he did on the field. So if you're an elite running back is not just somebody that rips off long runs. It's somebody that can do multiple things. To facilitate your quarterback, to open up seams for your wide receivers, open up seams for your tight ends.
Right.
So no, I'm not saying that the running backs don't deserve the money. I'm just saying that if you're going to ask me for the money, you have to be able to do more than just run the ball 12 times a game, which they're starting to do. If you're in a 20 to 25 touch zone, I'm going to pay you the money. But how are you going to get those touches unless you're able to do something besides run? That's kind of where I'm thinking about it. So I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I just think it's interesting how being a former basketball player, the center position, which I played, is no longer a thing. It's a five. You have a five position, but Jokic shoots threes, Karl-Anthony Towns shoots threes. They all can dribble. They all can pass. They don't rebound and outlet anymore. That game is over. So in order to get paid the $50 million like Jokic is getting, like Karl-Anthony Towns is getting, you have to do more. And so that's kind of where I'm going with the running back position in terms of how I'm thinking about how I want to pay them.
Okay. I think I'm going to take the player's position on this.
Sure.
I think if I have established your running game for you as a franchise, if I have become the identity of your offense in a sense, right, which most running backs who are holding out now have become that for their franchises. Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook got released. But he was the identity of that offense before Justin Jefferson got there, and even with Justin Jefferson there, you still couldn't forget about Cook. It's one of the reasons why Justin Jefferson was as good as he was, is because teams could not forget about Cook.
Yeah.
You look at Tony Pollard. He kind of blew up over the last 2 years maybe, and I think a lot of that attention was fantasy based. To be honest, but if you look at what Najee Harris has talked about, if you look at what Saquon Barkley is going through, Saquon Barkley is the Giants' offense right now. They don't have a number one receiver. It's Darren Waller and whoever else you can think of, right? Those are their receivers. Now, if you wanna say to yourself, okay, the running back, we can kind of live without.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what did your offense look like the year before with no Saquon Barkley?
Well, I mean,
it was terrible.
That it's kind of a loaded question though, because now you got a head coach who has made a lot out of nothing too. So you're right. You're right. Like I said, it's not something I'm hard pressed on. It in my mind is more so, in terms of Saquon Barkley, you have a new coach, you got a new system, you got a new. So I don't know if his role in that system, in this new system, is going to be equivalent to what it was before. They don't have a number one guy, as you said, at wide receiver, and they don't really have a quarterback of great ilk.
Listen, they do whether anybody else thinks so or not. It's 4 years and over 160 something million or something like that. You got?
Yeah. He's only like $28 million a season. So
yeah,
it's not for a quarterback. See, they paid him like he plays. So
yeah,
they made off well. But yeah, when you turn in terms of, like you said, in terms of being the identity, Josh Jacobs on a good team, I don't know if he'd be the same Josh Jacobs. He'd be good.
Well, what are we considering a good team? Because last year I would consider the Raiders' offense to be good. I mean,
well, they got Devontae Adams, so
yeah, when they had Derek Carr and you had to worry about Devontae Adams, that
right.
obviously opened up a lot of stuff for Jacobs.
But before them, they were like a bottom feeding team. So yeah, and so that's kind of where I am with it. In terms of what do they call it, wins over replacement or whatever. How many wins does he bring?
I get that, but that's so it gets very sticky when we include those type of stats, and here's why. The scheme of the offense comes into play. The defensive game plan of the opponent comes into play, because, like, let's be honest, if I know your biggest weapon is Josh Jacobs, I know all I got to do is shut him down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that mean? That means I stack the box. You're going to face 8 players every down, and I dare you to throw over the top of us,
mm-hmm.
right? That's what that means.
We know that well in Buffalo. That's what they do for us forever.
I've seen that for 20 years.
Right.
But if you incorporate that into the same thought, it now changes the way you have to perceive it, because you can say wins over replacement, but there's probably very few running backs, and the only one I can think of right now maybe is Derrick Henry that could continuously face 8-man boxes like that and do anything with that. Maybe Saquon Barkley was seeing it most of the year and mm-hmm. still did well, mm-hmm. right? So and actually I would probably venture to say that Breece Hall faced a lot of that last year too before he got hurt. So
yeah. But that's kind of the deal. What I was saying with the bad teams, you have nothing, like you said. If you don't have a number one receiver, you don't have somebody that can take any pressure off. That's what you're going to see.
Right. And then so I guess that's when I'm looking at when I'm making the attempt to look at this from the player side, I have to say to myself, what have I produced for the team, right? And numbers wise, for guys like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, like the big names that are now starting to be pushed out of their respective franchises,
mm-hmm.
you can look at their numbers and see, like, man, I don't know if we'd be able to replace that right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the idea for these in these running backs' mind is I became your offense when you didn't have a quarterback.
Right.
I became that guy that you got the ball to, 20, 25, 30 times a game to, get you yards. You had to find ways to get me the ball because you knew I was your best chance.
Right.
Right. And when you do that with a human being, it's the equivalent of I'll give you a perfect example. It's the equivalent of a salesman,
mm-hmm.
right? You have a salesman, he comes in, and you as the supervisor realize right away, this dude is special, we got to give him all the leads. We got to give him every opportunity to make as much money as possible, because the more he makes, the more we make.
Right.
Right. And eventually times start to change. The clientele of the business starts to change. You know, the sales industry, you know, has changed over the years, and maybe the tactics that this particular salesman excelled in are now a little, you know, outdated or something like that, right? He may not be you know, communicating as hip as some of the young folks or something like that, right? So you say to yourself, all right, well, we don't have anybody else right now, but we got 2 or 3 salesmen that can add up to the same production that this guy is having, and we don't really feel like paying him this much anymore, so we'll let him go somewhere else. Like, that's still disrespectful for someone who has done as much as that person has done for a business or for a franchise. It's still disrespectful for you to say, okay, you know what, your position overall is less relevant than everything else that we need because of the rules of the league, because of the transition that the NFL has gone through, coming from a defensive to an offensive game, coming from a running game to a passing game. We don't respect your position as a major necessity or something that we need to spend that much money on. We can get similar production from someone else. It's like, yeah, similar, but not the same. Something needs to be said for what I've done already. And I think that's the key, is these running backs are trying to now recoup what they've lost from their rookie contracts. Because of the fact that they rarely get drafted in the first round, most of these guys are coming in mid-rounds now. Third, fourth round pick. Josh Jacobs, I think, was a 3rd round pick, wasn't he?
That's right here. So Josh Jacobs was
first. No, he was a 1st round pick.
Yep.
24th overall.
No, I think when you put it like that, I think I do side with the team a little more. Honestly, just listening to you talk, and it's not that I don't agree with what you're saying. I get it, but I just think that the way the business works is, what are you doing? What have you done for me lately? Kind of deal.
Well, I mean, in Barkley's case, he got you to the playoffs.
Yeah, but look at Barkley's numbers. He's not he's not good at all. Like, he's not a good example at all when you think about it. Because look at not this first column, but look at his second column. 2018, 121 receiving targets, 76 running backs don't get these numbers. These are number 3 wide receiver numbers. Some of these. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to who gets paid and who doesn't. Because these are the numbers I'm paying. I'm paying these numbers because he runs the rock.
Well, but that's my point. He's not getting paid right
now.
No,
what I'm saying is, this is the kind of player that I agree should get paid, like a Christian McCaffrey,
Okay, so we agree on that. But I think that kind of
boosts
my point, because if you got a player who is basically playing 2 separate positions for your team, he's your star running back and he's your number 3 receiver,
right?
Like, you better pay that dude,
right? Pay him.
But I mean, Josh Jacobs. Let's look at his numbers real quick. I'm interested to see what he's done for his team.
What do you want? You want what he's asking for price wise? You looking at his?
No.
Okay.
I think all these guys need to get paid, honestly, for what they've done for their teams and what the teams have not done to help them out. It's the same thing with quarterbacks. Like you know, Derek Carr. Derek Carr should have been chased on the market like crazy. In my opinion, I think for what he's done with the least amount of help around him, every time that he's had a good, solid number 1 receiver, he put up numbers. He put up numbers last year with Devontae Adams. He put up numbers when he had Amari Cooper. He needed pieces. He needed an offense around him. But
where do you want to go back here?
Huh?
Yeah. There you go. So see, this is kind of. I mean, these numbers aren't bad, but this is kind of the disparity. He's more of a. You know he's gonna. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but that so again, and this is where scheme and you know who they play comes into play too, because I could totally see James Cook getting these kind of numbers, and he's already got a better yards per carry average, but yeah. I could see James Cook getting these kind of numbers this year and not getting a lot of receptions. Why? Because the Bills don't run a lot of screens.
Why don't they run them? I'm not. Bad. No, right. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Not today.
That's, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of neither here nor there right now in terms of this conversation. But you're right. I think that should be that's something you and I talked about for years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think when you look at when you look at whether or not you should pay your running back, it can't be just off the stats, because the stats are relative to the game time decisions. They're relative to the scheme of the offense. And if you had him running most of the time because your offense didn't call for a lot of screens, or your coordinator didn't call for a lot of screens, or you were playing catch up so much every game that you were throwing the ball to receivers and throwing downfield all the time, so you barely ran screens, like that all plays into the stats that the running back is allowed to
see,
get.
That's going back to my point. If you're I'm not paying you for your stats. I'm paying you for your importance to my offense. So
no, stats get included. They have
no. You just know what I'm saying, because you just said we can't look at the way you don't want to look at that solely based on this. And I'm going away from the stats. I'm acting like this. I'm washing my hands of this.
Okay.
I'm going based on scheme wise. So if you're looking at a team who doesn't really utilize their running back, the Bills, for instance, we don't really. They're dime a dozen, because for what they ask the running backs to do, you're just going to draft a third rounder, second rounder every year and be fine. We're not going to invest a lot of money into that. But see, as more teams go along with that, that's why guys, like I said, with Saquon Barkley, have to do more than just run the ball. Or else it's going to be one of those deals where Dable's already shown you, I can be a top offense with Devin Singletary. I can be a top offense with Frank Gore. I can be a top offense with pretty much whoever you want to put next to Josh. Just give me a Josh, or give me a Steph, or give me something. And they did just draft Jalen Hyatt, a speed demon. They do have, I pulled it up for a second. They have, never mind. Let's go to 10 minutes. You go ahead, because this is just going to feed perfectly. It's going to segue into what you want to talk about. Who do they have as wide receivers of the Giants? Who's the wide receiver of the Giants?
Oh, my gosh. You mean who's now the wide receiver for the Giants?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, my gosh.
How much sleep did you get last night?
Oh, my gosh. No,
Nah, honestly, yeah.
I don't get this. And I got numbers to support this. I don't get this one bit. I really don't. You push a guy like Cole Beasley out. It's Cole Beasley. You push him out the door.
Oh yeah, twice.
Twice. Seemingly because of his stance on COVID.
Yeah.
Because nobody had a problem with this dude in the building until the COVID situation.
And I'm not going to go far into this, but that feeds right into your stance on fandom. Steve feeds right into it, because what did he say? Matter of fact, no, you go ahead and talk. I actually have a quote by Cole Beasley. I have a quote by Cole Beasley.
Okay, so if you look at the numbers, right? He came here in 2019. He had 67 catches, 778 yards, 6 touchdowns. Right? He was the blessing in disguise for Josh Allen, right? And they realized that he had a yards per target average of 7.3 yards, right?
Oh, perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
So most of the time he was getting open downfield. He wasn't, short underneath the linebackers or anything like that, or running those quick, whip routes or those, those crossers. He was getting deep, right? Then the next year after that, then they realized, we got something. We got to get this guy the ball. Josh loves him, right? So he goes from 67 catches to 82 catches, right? Now, mind you, the year before, 2019, he had 106 targets. He had one more target, but almost 20 more catches. Right? Yeah, 15 more catches than he did the year before, right?
Right.
So what does that speak to? Rapport with the quarterback. They had an offseason to work together, and they got in there and they got it done, right? So he goes for 967 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay? He had a catch percentage of 76.6%, up from 63.2%. A yards per target average of 9. That boy was getting the ball. He was getting the ball down the field. He was making plays.
Oh, but wait, it was all because of Stephon Diggs. How?
Well,
you said one more target, right? You said one more target. So he got busy off one more target. Why? Like you said, rapport with the quarterback and the OC.
Yep.
The quarterback and the OC. You get that rapport, you get that synthesis down, you are going to see vast rewards, okay?
Yep.
But let me read this quote real quick. It's burning a hole in my head. When Cole Beasley was asked why he went to the Giants and not coming back to the Bills or whatever, he said it was different in the organization. It was different in the facility, and it was different with the fans as well. I went from my first year here, I love Buffalo, and I found my love for football again there. And I appreciated that. But once COVID hit, all that changed.
I remember reading that.
You said that just now.
Yep.
You went from loving this man, but because he wouldn't put on a mask or get a shot, now you call him. Now he's thinking that you're booing him. You're ridiculing him on Twitter. Why does he think you're booing him? He's not. It's not anything different in the stadium.
Yep.
He's because you're ridiculing him in his Twitter. You're ridiculing him in social media. You're tearing him in to shreds. His own fan base. His refuge. We're supposed to cover this man. Anybody says something bad about the Bills based on Bills Mafia, we're supposed to back him. What happened? What happened to that?
Now here's the thing too. When you're an employee of a company and you see someone else do something wrong, they don't get in trouble. You do the same thing they do, and you get in trouble. What you think? What's your first thought?
Right.
They don't like me.
They don't care about me.
They must like him.
Yeah, they don't give a damn about me.
Some kind of favor.
Right.
I don't,
right.
I can't get that.
Right.
And this is exactly what Beasley went through. He went from being probably the most beloved guy in Buffalo. He had the hair. He played a great position, and he was tight in game with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Right. And for him to come here and do what he's done, he was kind of a representative of what Buffalo was trying to be about at that point, which was, you keep doubting us, we gonna keep getting better, we gonna bust y'all behinds out here on the field, right? Beasley came from Dallas, where he felt like they didn't really respect his game. They didn't utilize him as much as they should have, even though he was a great receiver. He showed himself to be able to make plays, right? Yeah. So then he comes here and he blows up. Then COVID hits, and then he falls out of favor, and then we basically decide at that point McKenzie is going to be the guy.
Yeah, right. That was a cardinal sin right there.
Where's McKenzie now? Not here.
Because McKenzie had the same. He got getting the same. He fell out of favor. He fell out of favor. And you look at Cole Beasley. You look at it. Oh, we forgot. Did you tell him about what we got?
Oh, this.
You look at this. This is next.
I was saving it for the end.
The reason why I say is this is next.
Oh yeah.
So beware what you say. Beware how you act, because your team is not Josh Allen. I don't care what you think. Your team is not Josh Allen. Your team is not going to be anything without Steph Diggs. Anything without the guys that you guys are going to upset because they tell you to.
It's like they forget how we struggled without Diggs and without Beasley.
They did.
Like when we had Benjamin and Foster and Holmes.
Who was the quarterback? I just want to say, who was the quarterback?
Josh Allen.
Right. Right.
Josh
so
Allen.
It's not Josh Allen. It's the sum of better parts.
Right. It was the coordinator. It was Diggs. It was Beasley. It was, the earlier emergence of Gabe Davis.
Yes.
I mean, all of that stuff matters, and people are just buying this propaganda by the Bills, and I hate saying it that way. I really do hate saying it that way. But at some point, we have to look at it for what it is, and we have to call it what it is.
Right.
If Beasley is exposing these things, if Diggs is trying to expose these things, and every time someone says anything against the franchise, they get crucified.
Right.
Then we have to begin to think, okay, well, maybe there's things going on in-house that we aren't aware of, Ron Raccuia. Maybe there's things going on in-house that we aren't aware of, minorities leaving. Maybe there's things that we aren't aware of, Russ Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in the building.
Right.
The only thing that fanatics are doing nowadays is believing whatever the franchise posts.
What they're telling them.
right?
Yeah.
And when you stop asking questions, you stop obtaining knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? And the very definition of ignorance is lack of knowledge.
Yep.
So we're all choosing to just be joyfully ignorant and let the Bills do whatever they want to do with our money.
And that's what we're doing here today. I mean, we're trying to shift the paradigm on that.
Right.
We're really trying to. I don't care if you think the way you think after this show, but I want you to at least know why you think the way you think.
Right.
That's if you take nothing else away from anything I say, know why you think the way you think. Don't boo Beasley because he's going against what McDermott said. I don't care.
Yep.
All of us were kids at some point. All of us were at Renegade at some point. All of us do something at our job that we're not supposed to do.
Right.
So let's not act like we're 100% pure. We're not.
Yep.
So
and so let's. I just want to look at this real quick because we're saying Beasley is what? He's not useful anymore. He's not productive anymore. I mean, he's still more productive than the other two receivers that we tried putting ahead of him, right?
Yep.
He's more productive than McKenzie. McKenzie's not even here. Gabe Davis, you want to hear Gabe Davis's numbers? When Gabe Davis was here, let's see, the year after Beasley left. Beasley left in 2021, right?
22.
Okay. So that year, 48 catches, 836 yards, 7 touchdowns. Not better than Beasley's season. He scored 3 more touchdowns.
Right.
Points count.
Right.
But still, not a better catch percentage.
No.
His catch percentage is 51.6.
No. Yeah.
His yards per target average, 9.
Mm-hmm.
So he was targeted. I mean, that's about all Gabe Davis does is run deeper routes.
That's all he does.
Yeah,
that's literally all he does.
And he didn't have more catches.
No.
So it wasn't like he kind of took up the slack. Right, you were counting on Isaiah McKenzie to do that.
Yep.
He didn't do that.
It got harder for Davis after Beasley left.
So we say to ourselves, okay, this year, Trent Sherfield, who happens to be on the depth chart anyway, the slot guy.
Right.
So we're gonna bring him in. He plays slot in Miami. Right. Let's see his best season. 30 catches, 417 yards, 2 touchdowns. Catch percentage of 58%. Yards per target average of 8.2. Like, how are these guys better than Beasley?
And the thing is, you got to think about what did Beasley bring more than any of the stats we've read so far. I didn't even have the stat for it, but if anybody wants to be so inclined as to look it up on your own, just look at how many drive extending catches Beasley had. How many of those 3rd and 5s did he find a seam, get open, get the ball, and get down? I mean, that's the stuff. He doesn't drop the ball.
Right.
He knows how to read the defense.
Yep. Last year, Sherfield had 18 of those. Okay. Cole Beasley. Let's see, he left in 22. But his 22 season was.
It was like that. We won't even talk. That was like a half a season. Yeah.
2021 he had 34.
See.
In 2020 he had 53.
Exactly.
Like his lowest output was 34 in 2021.
So what does that tell you?
And I think he was hurt that year too.
He was. So what is that? That's when he had the
Was it the rib?
The
thing?
ribs.
Yeah.
And I think an ankle. He broke his leg, didn't he? Didn't he play on a broken leg?
Yeah, a fracture. He was playing on a fracture or something like that.
So the thing is this: when you look at how wide Josh Allen is, take away Cole Beasley,
right?
And you'll get what you got last year. I don't want to hear about the elbow because when we don't have a Cole Beasley, you're not throwing short. Why? You don't have that dump off man.
Right.
You don't have that outlet that we used to have.
Josh
and now we're
never looks for the running backs underneath.
Never.
He's not finding a tight end underneath.
No.
He wants the deep ball. He wants the long ball.
And this is all evident by the fact, what do? They brought back Cole Beasley.
Yep.
They brought him back because what they thought they could do didn't work. That goes back into my Shaq Lawson theory. That goes back into my Jordan Phillips. You let them go.
Right.
Replace them, not with themselves or not a new iteration of themselves. That's all they do.
Right.
They bring the same person back. Sometimes it's literally the same person.
We improved our team with the same guy we let go.
Right. We're gonna change this number and move him to the other side of the field. What the heck?
Unbelievable.
But see, this is what we're saying when we say, no, not we. When I say, who's the next person you're gonna run out? Who's the next one? We got Diggs on the chopping block now.
And it's probably gonna be Diggs because if you think about where they are contract wise with Gabe Davis. He's probably looking at somewhere between
12 and 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say 13, but yeah,
okay.
12 and 15 million a year.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, if he has a productive year this year, If he does anything above his best season, which was...
Well, don't even say that because I want to compare it to his first season as a full-time starter.
Yeah, but it's a different offense too. Like last year was his best season.
Last year was his best season?
Yeah, believe it or not, it was his best best offensive production.
Yeah, by volume, but I mean percentage-wise, didn't he have a higher drop percentage?
He was a starter
and stuff
for
like
the first time last year too.
That's
full-time starter.
So if we're comparing it to when now he's a full-time starter, you're going to give that 13 million to this guy. That's not even if you're paying a guy 13 million, what is that saying? We don't value as a number one.
Exactly.
So who's your number one? Because you just ran him off.
But are they going to have money to pay him next year?
I got it. Guys, I got it. I've just figured it out. You know who the number one is going to be?
Who?
It's going to be
Dalton Kincaid?
No. It's going to be Justin Shorter next year. And then 2024, Stephon Diggs is coming back because they bring everybody back again. Every time, he'll be back. We're number 15, different haircut, different guy.
Here I am really in suspense. Like, who is it? Oh, this dude just brought
the
Diggs
same
back.
guy.
He just brought Diggs back.
Because this is how they operate, man. And what they do is they realize, and this tells me more often than not, what they're doing is they're running back with their tail between their legs.
Yeah.
We need you back because we screwed up.
Yeah.
Jordan Phillips was different. He left for the money. I get it. Shaq Lawson, no, we didn't want you. You don't fit. So you don't fit. You go off, do your thing. But we can't replace you. Shaq, come back. Come back, Shaq. Cole Beasley. We riff with you. We got beef with you publicly. You're on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing with Tom Brady. You know what? Come back.
Come on.
Come back.
Please.
Forget all that stuff. Let's let bygones be bygones.
Yep.
Let that be. Forget it. Just come back.
Wasn't this after they signed John Brown and realized that, John Brown still didn't get along?
Yeah, because John Brown never made off the practice squad. He was still on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cole Beasley came in, was on the practice squad for like a week, and they elevated him.
Right.
So what's that tell you? There's a skill set.
He still doesn't like John Brown.
Right. But there's also a skill set that they don't know how to replace because they can't evaluate it.
Oh, 100%.
So let's let that be known when we boo people, when we comment on people's social media, when we critique people for the way they think and do things, when it's not detrimental to the way the team is perceived in the league or legally. You can't have an opinion on something. You can't speak out, but that tells you Buffalo has been programmed. Buffalo fandom has been programmed to think one way, and that's the McDermott way. The disciples of McDermott. That's what this is. The disciples of McDermott.
You know what? I would even take it a step further to say that, because remember we talked about this a few episodes ago. This marketing team, whoever this marketing team is for the Bills that they've had over the last 30 years, has to be they have to have some sort of hold or some sort of what is it? A patent or a trademark on the way that they market to this city, because so far very few fans have been able to make enough noise to shake the foundation of this thing to really bring about a real awareness of what's really going on. Like me and you talk about it. You hear like Mike Florio was talking about it, a few other people, but like it's kind of like all of that stuff hits Buffalo and then it just dies. Like nobody is trying to really carry that torch and really, expand this knowledge, this information, this mindset like we are. But it needs to be said because it's the equivalent of living under a crooked dictatorship. Yep. At some point, the dude's got to get overthrown so that the city can thrive and be better off for it.
Yep.
And now we've seen it's not the owners. It can't be. Pagula didn't know Ralph Wilson. He never met him.
Right.
So it wasn't like something, because of the relationship that got passed on. Pagula's come here and he's done the best that he can, putting what he thought was the right people in the right places to be able to make this team successful. And to a larger degree compared to the last 20 years, he's been right.
You know what's funny about your point, though? When you talk about the marketing, who was in charge of marketing at one point in time?
Was it Russ Brandon?
Yes, it was. Russ Brandon's been gone for how many years? I don't even need an answer to that, but he's been gone for years.
And it's still the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
So you've ingrained. It's gotta be
somebody else.
But you've ingrained.
Oh yeah.
And what you've done is you've done such a masterful job of planting that seed. It's sprouting. And now the seed is it's a self-driven thing. The seed itself. It don't matter who the name is in front of it now. Bills fans at this point in time are so strong. The belief is so strong that it doesn't matter what you say or if you try to go against it, you're gonna get trampled. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the name is behind that at this point. That was a masterful job, and I will say that's part of the reason why the Bills are still in Buffalo by marketing to Rochester, Syracuse, Toronto, places like that. But it's a gift and a curse. It really is. When you think about how we treated Cole Beasley, when you think about what they did with the punter, Ariza, if he was found. Dude, Dalvin Cook
arrogant moves.
Is about to get suspended probably.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Are they getting cut? No.
No.
They're not. The last thing on their mind is getting cut. They know they're going back. Well, Dalvin Cook knows he's going somewhere. He's not even on the team right now. Right. And their team's still suiting the guy, and this stuff is coming. It came out. I don't want to go into it, but it came out that he offered $1 million settlement to this person. $1 million, not the $200 that Tyreek gave, but $1 million. So that tells you there's more to this than what we already know.
That means he's smarter than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Bro, I got $200 for you. Come on, walk
cash
away.
Money. I got $200 cash money in my pocket.
You want cash money or you want a check later?
I can zell it to you.
I can give you a check for $1 million later, but I got $200 cash right now, bro.
I'll zell you if you need me to.
I'll zell you.
But the thing is, like you said, you just said it while I was over talking inadvertently. I'm sorry about that, but you said arrogant moves.
Yeah.
All arrogant moves. And this is what we haven't won anything. What gives us the right to be arrogant?
Right.
We're running Diggs out. We're running the guy that you just said was Josh Allen, your beloved, our beloved Josh Allen's safety net. Out of the building.
Yep.
He loved the city. The city is little. As you said a couple of shows ago, we're poor.
Yep.
There's not much to do. There's a lot of snow, but I love the city. But you ran him out. And you're going to replace him with who? You got Khalil Shakir on the team. You got Deontay Hardy on the team. You got. Are they going to see the field? Exactly. They aren't. So you gave.
They already have Sherfield ahead of Khalil Shakir, who was here last year and actually made plays last year.
Made plays last year. 5th round draft pick that you now may have wasted because if you don't use him in year 2,
you trust him over Arizona's mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I had that backwards. You trust Arizona's mistake in Trent Sherfield over Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying right now.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. You're looking at you gave $5 million to Deontay Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
What is he gonna do?
You know what this reminds me of? So from high school up till I want to say maybe 3-4 years ago, I was really into music. Like I wanted to do music, for my entire life, right?
Yeah,
and it's part of the reason why I started my production company. Mm-hmm. And over time you got to realize that the music scene in Buffalo is very, very. It's like a black hole. It's like you can start here, but nothing is going to happen until you leave the city and then you gain your notoriety and then come back and then the town loves you. It's a. And I know this stems from an impoverished mindset, but it's as if. If you start off here because you're familiar, because we grew up with you, you can't possibly be as big or as great as someone who's on the TV that I'm watching because they're on the TV and you're not.
Right.
Well, how do you think they got there?
Right.
Like, how do you think Cash Money Records got to where they was at?
Yeah.
Like, they had a sound that they put together in their town and the town supported it. And then they became millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how it started in Atlanta with their sound. Mm-hmm. Like, all of these different areas garnered support, or they came together and supported their own to boost up the area. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was like they chose a person because you doing this the way we like it. We want you to get big. We want you to go represent us. Buffalo was like, yo, we don't respect nobody who ain't famous already.
Yeah. And the funny thing about what you said is a little backstory in Rick James. He went to your alma mater. You guys are alumni together.
Yeah.
Rick James.
Ben High, for y'all that don't know.
Ben High, yeah. I did not go to Ben High, but
you did not.
I did not. My mom did.
Very few could.
My mom did, but she was right behind Rick. Okay, so she started the year he left because he dropped out, and it was '67. It was Vietnam War was kicking up the draft, so he went to Toronto. He dipped the draft and went to Toronto.
Right.
And that's where he met whatever the band was. I don't remember the name of the band, but what they ended up doing was they took it to London. So Rick James became famous in London. Toronto, L.A., he has a Stone City band that actually they still perform in Buffalo.
Wow.
But the thing is, he reps Buffalo. He's buried in Forest Lawn. But like you said, he had to go somewhere else. In his situation, he had to, or he was going to jail, or he was going to war. but just Rick being Rick. But he, when it comes to, like you said, you having to go elsewhere, he didn't bring it back. He brought it back. Eddie Murphy, Party Out of Time. That was produced in Buffalo. And Eddie Murphy tells a story. But for you guys that don't know, it was during a snowstorm. He got snowed in. He couldn't get out of Buffalo. Yeah. So Rick said, "Come to my house." They were in East Aurora or something like that, and they made the song in his basement. Brian McKnight doesn't even acknowledge the fact that he's from Buffalo.
Right.
Sweet Home High School. That's what I'm talking about.
Whoa.
He went to Sweet Home. Yeah, he did go to Sweet Home. I just thought about I can plug my school. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the opposite of what you're saying in terms of coming back.
Yeah.
And being famous. He don't want nothing to do with us. Brian McKnight has not. He probably won't even fly over Buffalo.
Well, probably because he went through what a lot of artists are going through now.
Maybe.
And
maybe.
The whole correlation of this point that we're making is that the city itself. We've been talking about the mindset of the city, the mental programming that has taken place with this marketing and really to a larger degree the social programming that has taken place with this city, because it's led to this mentality both with the franchise and with the people who live here, that people who are homegrown, people who we draft aren't respectable enough. They aren't good enough, or we don't think highly of them enough to give them the keys and support them with everything that we've got and make them superstars. Like, think of how many players came here and actually were drafted that became superstars. Josh Allen is probably the first one, and he's probably had and I'm not including Bruce Smith and Thurman Thomas and all them. But I'm talking about through the last 20 years that I've been watching the team. Think of how many actual superstars were homegrown here.
You got to think about to your point about Bruce Smith. It was a different era because free agency wasn't what it is now.
Right. You had to homegrown.
Yeah, you were who you were.
Yeah.
So that feeds further into your point. It just wasn't, and you had to have a pipeline where people wanted to come.
Right.
Now you have to have this pipeline. Back then there wasn't as much freedom, so you were where you were until your contract was up. But in terms of, like you said, the homegrown, it's like they almost draft because they have to. It seems like, I mean, it's not like I'm drafting this guy and we're not going to go into it because that's going to take a lot of time. We're almost there, but that'll be the next show. That'll be the next show. That's going to be completely training camp, completely what we're talking about in terms of, I actually have something. We did. I have something dissecting the draft. I actually do. It's interesting. I'm gonna show you later. You'll get a teaser. But when you look at when you're looking at how they build a team versus how other teams build their teams, they're not drafting for what they need in terms of on the field. They're drafting for we could use you if the guy we're going to sign in free agency goes down.
Right. Right. They're
that's
drafting backup plans.
Yes.
They really want to sign guys because they can see on tape in the NFL that these guys have actually done something in the league versus an unknown. And they're worried.
Yeah.
But you know what that really speaks to? For all the confidence and bravado that Sean McDermott has inside the building, where's your confidence and bravado to develop these guys? Like, if you're running a team that's built to take young players and build them up into superstars, then that's who you're focusing on. That's who you're going for. You say to yourself, listen, we only go get free agents if they are absolute superstars and studs and we just have to have them on our team, or if they are, the low-key sleeper that we can put on our team, and because of the scheme we run, they're going to be a superstar.
Right.
Like, otherwise, have a mindset to draft your guys, because you're going to run into a situation where we're at now, where you just have no money, and next year you're not going to have any money.
No, we're going to have less than nothing next year. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
But yo,
big negative.
Please, while we're on this topic, can we do the checklist?
That's why I have it up.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So I wanted it right on there. I wanted it right on that. Yep.
So take us through that. How'd you find that?
So I was doing some sleuthing. And I don't even remember where I saw it. I think it might have been Facebook or something like that. But It's the Bills Mafia checklist. So what we have here are the requisites to be called part of the Mafia. So, number 1, you have to call the Pats fans cheaters. Okay, we can do that.
Damn, I'm already.
You have to claim it's our year every year. So right now, if you don't say it's our year, you can't be in the Mafia, because they can't pad up yet. Once they pad up, it's too late.
Yeah.
You have to talk about that one 47-17 game.
What game was that?
47. Wasn't that a great comeback?
A great. How is it a comeback if it was 47-17? Like, there ain't no comeback.
That game, I don't even know what that is. That tells you what Mafia I am. Hold on a second.
Let me see if I can find it.
Because I know what were they down in the great comeback? When they beat that blackout game, what was the score to that? It wasn't this. So actually, by not knowing what the 47-17 game was,
It's Bills Patriots. The Bills Patriots in 22, January 15th.
Oh, the perfect game. That's got to be the perfect game. Okay,
wild card round. Yep.
Why would I talk about that? I mean, I don't even remember the score to that. I just know they did what they wanted. And to be fair, I'm not somebody that's going to remember scores and but they did what they wanted. They should just call that the perfect game.
The Patriots didn't have an offense.
They had no. They had nothing. They didn't have warmth. It was cold.
Right.
Everything against them was present that day.
Yeah.
But they won. I'm not taking a thing. It was amazing to watch.
They were supposed to win that game.
They better have won that game. They were
supposed to win that game.
But it was amazing to watch. So let's not get mired in 47-17.
Right.
It just was the perfect game. So
in all history,
which we just did, which I just did. I avoided any and all history. So,
oh my God!
By not remembering that the perfect game was 47-17, I fit this requisite. Now the next one, you got someone on that one?
Huh?
You got someone on that part still?
Oh, it's oh my gosh, there's so much. Like the dude that came in here earlier, right? He probably fits all this. Like, you can't say anything negative about the Bills, or you're just a hater.
So he's not watching the show ever. He's never gonna watch the show.
No, I'm never telling him about it. But when it, like, you have to, he's and this is probably the same for most people that fit this checklist. Mm-hmm. You have to show them statistical proof. You have to show them video of this stuff happening. You have to have, like, notarized documents from the government.
You got to have a signed letter by Josh Allen himself.
Right, exactly. You have to have a notarized letter from Sean McDermott himself saying, yes, this actually happened to the Bills last year, in order for them to be like, all right, I kind of believe it.
But then they'd be like, did he watch the film first, though?
Right, exactly.
Did he watch the film? If he
didn't watch the film, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
But yeah, I think that's true. Like, avoid the history. Like, none of that stuff comes into play. It's all about what's going on right now. And right now, the Bills have been 13-3 the past 2 seasons. Yeah. And that seems to be all anybody cares about.
Yeah. So I mean, the next one, that's not locally. That's not hard because it's probably already true. Call Josh Allen the GOAT.
Buffalo, yeah.
Call Josh Allen the GOAT. Sorry, Jim Kelly, but it's already true.
Yeah, already.
I mean, even if he stopped playing right
Kelly
now,
still has obviously Kelly has more passing yards right now.
Yeah.
Allen is done.
But Josh is going to eclipse that pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Josh Allen's your GOAT. Big deal. We know this.
Right. It's not like Kelly was like Dan Marino.
Right. Like he was Johnny Unitas or something, or Peyton Manning, like Tom Brady or something like that. He's like, come on now. I mean,
never had a 5,000-yard season.
No.
Ever.
Back then, I mean, did he have a 4,000?
I don't think he even had a 3,000-yard season.
Yeah, because see, back then, I don't really think you did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, you really didn't.
Run game. Let me see his
So I Googled Jim Kelly. The first thing comes up is the martial arts dude from Enter the Dragon. So we're not gonna do that.
Oh no, he had a bunch of 3,000-yard seasons.
Did he have a 4 though?
Huh?
I don't think he had a 4 though, did he?
No, he never had a 4,000.
Okay. Yeah, he had like 32, 33, and stuff like that.
Yeah, 33, 31, 38, and 91. That was a Super Bowl year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a K gun at his peak.
Yeah, that was his best season, man. Wow. 64% completion percentage. He was 304. He was 304 of 474 for 3,844 yards, 33 touchdowns. He only threw 17 interceptions. That's
2-1. That's still pretty high.
That's actually You
said 17 and 33?
33 touchdowns, 17 picks.
Yeah, 2-1. That's a gunslinger right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're running the ball as much as you are back then. Like, that's
I want to draw your attention to what you said. What was his pass percentage?
Completion? 64% completion.
Oh, 64.
Yeah.
All right. I think Josh is.
Let me see.
He's about there. He's in that area. I think maybe like 65 or something like that for his career. Because you got to remember, before Stephon Diggs, he didn't get out of the 60. Well, he got 60 as his
62.5 for his career. So
Josh Allen.
Yep. Okay. So he went 52, then 58, then 69 in 2020.
That's when Diggs came.
Cole Beasley's first year and Diggs' first year.
Oh yeah, Cole Beasley.
Oh wait, no, Beasley's first year was 19, wasn't it?
Beasley was 19.
Yeah, and then so Diggs comes in, and he shoots up.
Yeah, it just shoots. Say it louder. What happened?
Huh?
What happened? Say it louder. when Diggs comes in,
and he shoots up 11%.
11%. Well, okay, so what about yardage? What about passing yardage? What happened?
Oh my gosh! So 2019, he had 3,089 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not bad.
That's not
58% completion percentage
for a second-year guy.
For a second-year guy, right? Then Diggs comes in, 69.2% completion percentage. 4,544 yards, 37 touchdowns. So 17 more touchdowns, 1 more interception than the year before.
Yeah.
37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
So you want to talk about impact?
A QB rating of 107.2, the highest in his entire career.
That's insane. So we want to talk about impact?
Big time impact.
I mean, it's obvious. I dare somebody to tell me. This is a sidebar for them because we're going right back to this. But I just had a moment. I dare somebody to tell me Stephon Diggs is easily replaceable.
Oh no!
I dare somebody to tell me Josh Allen does this all on his own. I dare somebody, please. And I know this comment section is going to be lit up. No, I need some facts. I don't want mafiaisms. I want facts.
Yep.
And the fact is, Stephon Diggs is responsible for 1/3 of Josh Allen's production. 1/3 in a pass-heavy offense with 3 other wide receivers and a tight end, or 2 other wide receivers, a tight end, or 3 other wide receivers.
Yep.
1/3. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Where they do that at? Where they do that at?
Buffalo.
Where we're trying to run them out of town.
Yeah.
You gave Terrell Owens a key to the city. But you want to run Stephon Diggs, who's consistently fact-driven, statistically, analytically, more important than anybody else on this team not named Josh Allen. More important than your coaches. More important. And you're yelling at the guy because he said, give me the ball more. I wonder why.
Right.
The playoffs, 6 receptions for 35 yards. And the problem is him wanting the ball more. Make that make sense, Mafia.
Nope. They're not going to.
You can't.
They can't. That's
so
exactly right.
That takes us to the last point. Call anyone who trash talks the Bills closet fans.
Yep.
I'm a closet fan, I guess, because I'm not going to trash talk them, but I'm going to speak my truth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't like we are not and like if you are a fanatic and you're watching this show, you probably think we are haters, right? But what have we been consistent on this entire time? We have looked at the facts. We've looked at the numbers. We've looked at the decisions that have been made. We've looked at the reports, and we've investigated the reports. Right? Yeah. It's not like we're just buying, whatever's on the Bills, website and distorting that or twisting that. Right? We look at as many websites as we can to put some backing to whatever our theories are or whatever. Like, I'll put it like this. If we weren't being objective, we would have done that episode where we talked about whose defense this was really in 2022 and decided that it was still Sean McDermott's defense.
We would have been wrong.
Right.
We've been wrong.
And that's the thing. We determined, equally, like, we thought wrong about this initially. Right. We thought it was all Sean McDermott. Turns out it was all Leslie Frazier. But that's the basis of our that's our foundation is finding the truth and then bringing that to the forefront so that it can be discussed, so that it can be realized, and hopefully something can be done about it, right? But just that mentality of, oh, you're a closet fan, you secretly like the team, but you hating on them and blah, blah, blah. Like, at some point, we have to be able to objectively look at situations and see them for what they really are. I get it. That might put some people in a position to feel like they're being more negative than positive.
Right.
And I think every Bills fanatic avoids or tries their hardest to avoid being negative. Right? They don't want to say anything negative because they don't want to be a downer. They don't want to be, they don't want to bring bad karma onto the team or whatever it is they believe that is the basis for them not saying anything that they perceive to be negative about the team. But real life happens. And I could sit there and say, it's sunny out. It could be pouring rain. And I can say 50 million times it's sunny out. Right? I'm not hating on the rain.
Right.
I just like the sun. I want it to come out. Right. Now there's nothing wrong with having that mindset, but at some point you got to realize I may have to wait till tomorrow to see some sunshine.
Yep.
It is raining right now currently. Yeah. I love the sun, but I can't stand there and expect people to take me seriously if I'm standing in the middle of rain and people are like, oh, how's your day going? Oh, it's sunny out here. Like,
I'm just a little wet, just ran a 5K.
People gonna think you either being sarcastic or you being an a-hole.
Yeah.
Like that's like at some point real life and realism has to take place in our mindset.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we want to go. We're not trying to get you on the defensive when it comes to the show. We're just trying to get you to think, maybe not the way we think, but to think a little, not differently, even further. Just think further. Just say, hey, why do I think this way? Why did I believe in that? It didn't work, and it didn't work anywhere else. So what was it about that? What drove my emotions to be so involved and so invested in these things when it just didn't happen? People love Tyrod Taylor. He was going to get it. It didn't happen.
Well, that's because we don't have anything else. Like, really, really, really think about where the city is right now. What else do we really have besides football and hockey?
Yeah, but, you think about, you don't have to be a Bills fan either.
That's true too. But what else is there? Again, what else is there if you're not a Bills fan?
Hey, you could. You
gonna be a Bison's fan?
No. What I'm saying is, you don't have to be in the NFL. You could have a different team you're invested in. You could have you could. And we got to look at it. A lot of Buffalo people do not like the Bills. When you think, you would think they do, but a lot of them are.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So when it comes to why am I a Bills fan, I love my team. We sit here. I work and get off from work at night, late, early morning, and get on the computer and start researching instead of sleeping because I want to find these answers. Yeah. I don't need you guys to. If you want me to look at something, you might be able to change my mind. Do it respectfully, but I want to talk about this stuff because this is what drives my day.
This gets me over from being a dad. This gets me from being a professional. This is the passion and a hobby that I like to go through, these exercises.
Yeah.
So when it comes to why are you a Bills fan, don't say because of McDermott. Don't say because, this is all we got in Buffalo. It is all we have in Buffalo, but you could still be a Browns fan. You could be a Patriots fan. You could be a Jets. You could be any of the other 31 teams fans.
Right.
But you chose to be a Bills fan, and this is who you're writing down, and this is who we chose.
Right.
When we pull on Madden, we go right to the red, white, and blue. Favorite team all the time. Yeah. Bills. Look at the hats. Bills. So this is our lifestyle.
Right. And I think, and I'll just, full disclosure for me. I didn't have anybody introducing me to the Bills when they were going to the Super Bowl, right? I remember seeing, the Super Bowl sweatshirts and stuff that, my mom and my aunts had and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really care about football until probably my senior year in high school. Like, I played baseball most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was more so the realization, going through that transition from high school to college and really coming out into real life and being in the city of Buffalo and wanting to have a sense of pride about where I live.
Yeah.
The Bills were a representation of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted them to be successful. It wasn't because of their colors. It wasn't because of a specific player they had. It wasn't any of that. It was, I live here. So, okay, because I live in Buffalo, what's my representation? My representation is the Bills and the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to be represented in the best way possible. When people talk about my city, I want them to talk with respect.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be careful about what they say because they might get beat up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not from a fanatical standpoint, but because everybody knows that team is damn good.
It's a sense of pride. It's a
right.
pride thing. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so that's why I've always wanted this team to be great, because the city with which I live in
mm-hmm.
hasn't had great representation for pretty much my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the Super Bowl run,
mm-hmm.
but it's just as much of the butt of a joke as it is a great accomplishment.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's kind of like a backhanded compliment anytime somebody brings that up. It's like, yeah, it's great, but you didn't win one. And it's almost in my mindset it's almost as if I have to preempt people with that mindset so that narrative doesn't get flipped on me,
right.
and I become the butt of the joke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, a lot of people like us have gone through that and do go through that continuously because of, what we see, happening behind the scenes and what we see on the field. I mean, I don't know how many times I've listened to radio stations and other shows where, people call in and say, where was Josh looking? Why didn't he see this receiver there? Why were there two receivers in this spot here? Why didn't they give it to the running back in this spot when it was only 3rd and inches? Why
mm-hmm.
didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that?
Right.
Like, these are things that people who are at these games or people who are watching these games on TV are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we go and ask the coach about it, I got to go watch the tape.
Right.
You knew.
Yeah.
You knew. Don't try to play me. You were there.
Mm-hmm. And you got people that are watching for you.
Right.
Yeah. You got more eyes than we do.
So, it's all it all becomes. I'm not really sure what the tense of the word is, but the coach is patronizing us at that point.
Yeah.
It's.
I hear you 100%. And my thing is, it's okay to have to watch the film. It's okay to not know the answer, but when you're so process driven, when you're this, you got all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. I don't know. I need to watch the film. Is not a good answer for me. That
right.
doesn't work for me.
Right.
Now, when you get, like I read the quote earlier, when you get who was that? Mike Tomlin, who says my failures, he's acknowledging. He's like, I'm human.
Yep.
I make errors just like everybody else.
Now, I could understand if McDermott was like, I got to go look at the tape, and then he held another press conference or he put out another, whatever,
right.
saying, okay, I watched the tape and this is what I saw.
Right.
Like, just be upfront. If you're gonna go as far as to say I gotta watch the tape, then at least have a mind to let us know what's going on after the fact. Right. Come back to it and tell us what's going on. On Thursday or Friday, whatever the last day
Thursday,
is.
Yeah, you can talk on Thursday. Or they can be like Belichick. Just end it right there.
Right.
Just end it, because that's what you do. I gotta watch tape is the way you're ending it. But see, there should be a follow up when I gotta watch tape.
Right.
Because like you just said, and I never thought about that. Like you just said, when you got to do something, there's a follow up action that's required. Well, assume
it's inferred, right? It's inferred. I got to watch tape.
So I will tell you later, right?
Exactly.
Which is wait, like, and now see, why'd you say that? Because now every Thursday I'm gonna be like, right? What happened? Where did he watch the tape? What happened to the tape?
Exactly.
Is there a tape? So
yeah, that's another one.
But now I feel compelled to full disclosure myself. I remember being a Super Bowl team. I remember having them, but I really wasn't raised around a lot of men. So me watching Super Bowls was just this. What is this? 91. We'll say. So 7, 8, 9. What do you have to do every school night? Go to bed.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, your parents let you stay up to watch the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know the Washington Cowboys and the Dallas Giants, and I'm like, yeah, which one's the Bills? Let's have a good time. This is a great time for us. I'm up past 9:30.
It ain't bad time.
It's not bad time because Mom is sitting right here, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking about it. Matter of fact, my first Madden game was Madden '93, and I used Rodney Hampton and the New York Giants. That was my team. I respected the Bills. I was always, I always watched them.
Yeah.
But I was a Giants fan.
Wow.
So when I go to Edinburgh, like I told you last week, when Brian Westbrook tore us to shreds, all the Eagle fans are running up and down the hallway. Eagles, Eagles. I mean, man, the Eagles.
Right.
Bills all day.
Right.
Am I a Bills fan? Did I just become a Bills fan? And that's kind of how, like, from that day forward.
Yeah.
You couldn't say nothing about the Bills. You couldn't do nothing about the Bills. And another thing about being born and sowing my foundation in Buffalo, like you said, which made me compelled to tell the story. I have pride in my city. Yeah. Everything down to the wings, down to the beef on way, down to Main Street, down to everything. Yep. I love it. So to talk bad about my team, it's tough.
It is.
It's tough.
It is.
And it doesn't make me feel better inside, but what it is I need people that love the team to be able to interface with me and not spit the rhetoric that they hear on the radio.
Right.
Tell me what you think. You could be completely wrong. You could think that, I'm not going to say it because it's late and I don't want to trigger you. You could think that it's going to knock me up on pivot, but screw it. I'll say it because I don't believe it, but I'm just going to say it. You could think Levi Wallace was our best cornerback. I know. But no, what I'm saying is this where I'm going. We all know it's not true.
Bruh.
We all know it's not true. Bruh. I'm going to mute his mic. But I couldn't think of a bad player. I couldn't think of a bad player. Like Justin Rogers.
Really? Really? You couldn't think of a bad player?
But Justin Rogers. Justin Rogers.
Bruh.
I mean,
what?
He was terrible, but he wasn't here long enough.
Justin Rogers?
Yeah.
Justin Rogers.
Yeah.
You got
who? Okay. All right. JP Lossman. Cool.
You had Trent Edwards staring you in the face.
You can't say Trent Edwards because that's going to trigger me.
What?
Everybody thought Trent Edwards was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Look at his accuracy. Look at his decision making. I don't want to bump all that. He was trash. Exactly.
I'm with you.
I know, but what I'm saying, I wanted to go somewhere where people were happy to get rid of.
You just want to make sure you wasn't going to be triggered.
Nah, because I couldn't think of anybody that I really couldn't think of anybody that I was like really like even Tyrod. Like I could see potential to keep him as a backup. And that's the biggest thing that would trigger me. I mean, I don't think of anybody else, and I was trying to go around it, but
Tyrod was just scarred by coaching. That was.
I think Tyrod, and I like Tyrod at Virginia Tech because I used to watch for George Selvey.
Okay.
No, Jason Worlds. I'm sorry, Jason Worlds was a defensive end linebacker. I wanted coming out of college. So I watched a lot of Virginia Tech. So I saw a lot of Tyrod, and whoever the wide receiver was that we ended up taking for a second, but. So I knew him, and I was like, it's just not gonna happen. I used to be a college nut. Mm-hmm. It's like it's not gonna happen. So, but my point is, I'm not gonna say a name again. In all seriousness, my point is if you believe in something that I completely believe the opposite, I am not going to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to belittle you. I'm going to engage you in conversation and try to figure out why you think the way you do. Not because I want you to think how I think, but I just want to know how the human brain works. What are you saying and I'm not saying? What are you passionate about? Because that tells me a lot about you.
Yep.
You're passionate about something that I'm not. You might like this guy because he has a lot of foundations.
Yep.
Whereas I like this guy because he, lit somebody up on the field somewhere,
Right.
So I just want to know, and so that's the kind of conversation that we want to have. And being in Buffalo, being small, knowing most of the people here, it's a family. It should be a family unit.
Yep.
And by being on YouTube, by being on these other platforms, people are going to hear our voice. And I don't want to be, those are the guys that, no, I don't have to be hamstrung into that thought. But until somebody tells me otherwise, that's how I'm going to think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think a perfect example of what you're talking about in terms of the different mindsets. It's okay to want to support the team and not want to say anything negative. I'll liken that to our Madden approaches. We've been Madden players for years. And one of the things that I've always been big on is the physical traits. Like, I don't care about anything else. If you're the fastest player on the team, or if you're the strongest player on the team, like I was huge on that.
You were.
And so what would happen was, I would easily, because in the old Maddens you could build up players,
Mm-hmm.
and you can take a guy who was a 69 overall and make him like an 81 the following year,
right.
just off the training camp stuff. And I loved all of that. You need to bring it back. But when we used to play the franchise modes together, you always had these massive, you always had the biggest defensive lines and the biggest offensive lines in the world. Like, sumo wrestlers had no business touching these things, right? And all of the guys that you would pick would be like 63 overall, 64, 57.
They had no business on the field. They really didn't.
Right. Like, and I just used to like, why are you building your team like that?
To piss you off.
But here was the craziest part. I would dominate the computer, right? And anybody I played, I never had a problem scoring on them. We used to have people come to the house. Yeah, you remember that. And I would blow people out the water. And every single time it was time to play Keyshawn's team, I was winning by 3 points, 1 point. I used to get so mad, bro, because I could not blow this dude out. It was like, somehow he had a magic touch with these scrubs, and he would get them to do things they had no business doing.
Yeah.
He had these 2 6'9" receivers that would one hand catch my corners and safeties every single time he threw the ball to him. And I would get so pissed because these dudes was like 67 overall, but they were the biggest men on the field in terms of running around, past the line of scrimmage.
And just to give context to that, we made a league amongst our friends where, what was like every season you could make a creative player or something like that?
Yeah.
So every season I would make a 6'9", but for me, you had to mitigate it by not making him like an 80 overall. I had to. Their rule was he has to be in the 60s or low 70s. I said fine, but what I did was, and unbeknownst to them back then, you could scout awareness. You could scout, a certain kind of block. You could scout a power or a finesse. Now you can't. But see, what I would do is I would take, okay, let me see this guy. I wouldn't even care about his overall. I go, okay, he's the top dog in the finesse block, and I know I'm going to do this. And I pick him. And then I see, wait, he was a 59 overall? How? Because he can't do anything else. Okay, I have a whole line like that. In defense, I was like, let me get the biggest 340-pound nose tackles, and I would get a speed defensive end. And that's how I did it. But see, if you looked at my team, like Aravis just said, there's no way this team should be in the field, and I believed it half the time. There's no way.
My team would be 90s across
all
the board.
Across the board.
Everybody was over 90.
I was a bottom feeder on the game, but because they played the way I needed them to, it worked.
Yep. But that just speaks to. I still hate it to this day. I still can't stand it. But it just speaks to the fact that there's more than one way to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But because Keyshawn had a plan, because Aramis had a plan, we won games. Right? And what we're talking about here with respect to this topic in terms of, how people are, bashing anyone who doesn't have anything positive to say about the Bills only is we're trying to correlate the two situations. We're trying to say, look, just because people think differently about a team that they love and they want to win doesn't mean that they're, closet fans or haters or anything like that. It just means we may be seeing something that someone else is not. Yep. And here's the other thing too that we have to keep in mind. Fans are not the only ones looking at our team. Right? I've heard other people talk about how good the Bills are and get surprised when they hear how I feel about them.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time, if it's someone who really knows football, they don't respect the Bills.
Right.
If they really know football, they can look at the Bills and say, y'all got some good players, but
y'all not going to win it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Y'all not going to beat the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Y'all not going to beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, they know,
right?
It's the people who are, scooping up all the big headlines from the big, the big stations and TV stations and radio stations and only consuming that content.
Mm-hmm.
And they get nice and full with, man, everybody loves the Bills. Everybody thinks the Bills are great. Yeah, right. But, I mean, to some degree, a lot of that has to do with what One Bills Drive is pushing out.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, you look at most of the national media outlets, they don't have the Bills winning the AFC East.
Right.
So, I mean, you can get mad about it all you want, but for what? You're not going to play. They're not talking about you. They're talking about the team that you love, which is it's fine. But the onus is on McDermott and his boys to prove everybody wrong. And as an AFC East champion the last, 4 years, 4 years, that's a slap in the face. And that goes with what we said last week, what Pat Mahomes said. I'm going to prove I want a piece.
They would never pick against Brady and Belichick.
No, never. No, because they don't want to make them mad.
Even in the first 3 or 4 years when they became
right,
the champion, the Super Bowl winning Patriots, they still like the Bills. The Bills have had a few good teams.
Oh yeah,
but they still never picked against the Patriots.
Yeah, right. No,
so that should show you right there, like. People are seeing through this thing now. They're starting to, and a big part of it is, over the last 5-6 years, yeah, you've done a good job of keeping things in house, but nothing stays in the dark forever.
Right.
And now I think everything is starting to come out. It's starting to come to light. They've given Josh Allen too much power. They've mismanaged the players in terms of who they kept and who they got rid of. They've mismanaged with staff letting certain guys go that they should never have let go at all. I mean, still to this day, I'm gonna stand on it. They needed to keep Daboll at all costs and get rid of McDermott.
Yeah,
or however you needed to work that out. Pay Daboll like a head coach.
I was going to say there's no salary cap on coach. You can do what you want there.
Right. Pay him whatever you need to pay that man to get him to stay. And it probably wouldn't have happened because him and McDermott weren't getting along, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That was clear.
But some people don't say too.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that still ignore that point. But, I think all of this is to say, like, just we got to be more objective about this team. I mean, there's no way that we get out of this as a city until we start forcing the team to look at themselves objectively.
Mm-hmm.
And what the Ron Raccuia firing showed me was that I was wrong about Terry Pegula. I thought that this was starting to look like Terry Pegula, just kind of ignoring what was going on at One Bills Drive because he put Sean McDermott in charge. But with him coming on now as president and putting this management team in place and, really starting to pay attention,
right?
It gives me the impression that, at some point there's going to be an end to this ridiculousn's that Sean McDermott is put on the field and Sean McDermott is and again, I understand what the records are. I understand, where the Bills were before Sean got here. But for what we've had under the salary cap and what we've put on the field, it should have equated to at least one Super Bowl right now. At least one Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah. Exactly.
By now.
Exactly.
And it hasn't.
Nope.
Right? So to me, that's just that's an indictment. I mean, you as an owner have invested in this man to bring you a ring and to do right by the city of Buffalo, and the closest that we got was a drubbing. It's like what, a 27-10 drubbing by the Chiefs at their house in the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
We never got back to an AFC Championship game since that point. Right. Everybody thinks that divisional game that we lost by, in the last 13 seconds was a championship game, but it wasn't. We still would have had to play the Bengals, and I still would have been scared for them to come here. So, again, take the rose-colored glasses off. We have to do that. We have to do that when it comes to the Diggs situation. We have to do that with this Ron Raccuia situation. I saw a lot of people in the Bills Mafia group on Facebook saying, oh, he probably went to, go work with Jerry Jones. Maybe he did, but he still got fired.
Right.
So I think we'll cap it there if you go with that.
Yeah.
Please like, subscribe. We roll like this every week. Half the time we start off with topics that we think we're going to get to and we never make it.
All right, we didn't get anything today. We ain't nothing today.
Right. We just touched on the news and it turned into a whole episode.
Yeah.
So, we'll try and start the series next week. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All that does is just make more content for us in the future. I really don't, we don't have to get to,
right.
We'll
stuff. Get to it eventually at some point.
Yeah. But
the beautiful part is they don't know what we're going to talk about. So we can just say, yeah, we'll hold it and hopefully you come back and see what it is.
Yeah. Good deal. I like it. So yeah, like, subscribe. As we mentioned earlier in the show, we got the shirts. They're here. Free Diggs, right? Free Diggs. I'm not gonna stand up, but we got pictures. We'll put them on the. We'll post a couple in the comments. If you're interested in the shirt. You can email us at postpodiumpodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll take orders that way. We'll start off that way. I don't really want to get into starting a store right away until we know, what the demand is going to be, and then we'll go from there. But the shirts are here. Free Diggs or throwing the damn ball. Funny story. We sent a picture of the shirts to Diggs, and his response was, "On God." Oh my goodness! I cracked up laughing when I heard that. It's like Free Diggs are throwing the damn ball.
On God.
Shoot, give it to me or let me go. You know what I'm saying? Let me fly, man. I feel him all the way. I fully support his stance in this whole thing. Knowing, like, real quick. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast, but Josh Allen, I think I did mention this. Josh Allen was asked to go through the Tom Brady training program.
Yeah, you touched on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that stuff matters when you're a teammate and you're watching the guy who's supposed to be the leader of your franchise and the guy who's now leading the city in a sense to the finish line, which is a Super Bowl ring, and he's not doing some of the things that you're seeing other great quarterbacks in the league do. You got the best, the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, doing all these different things to get his body in great shape and to prepare his mind, and you see how that affects his play. You can see all of that stuff with Pat Mahomes. You can see all that stuff with Joe Burrow and how they prepare and how it translates to the field. And then you look at your guy and you're saying, well, dude, based on your traits, you should be way better than these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem?
Yeah.
But again, I digress. Free Diggs are throwing the damn ball. On God. So
how about we just throwing the damn ball? Because I'm not trying to free the man. Please don't free this man.
Well, yeah, I hear you.
I know. I'm just being facetious because
I'm Diggs,
that's
that's what I'm saying. Like that was my mindset behind the shirt. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Either give me the ball or let me go. Like,
absolutely.
What are we really doing here?
Yeah.
If we're gonna try to win, let's try to win.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna play football, let's really play football. Let's do this thing for real. Like, I don't want to pussyfoot around it, right? So, with that said, shirts are available. but you got to contact us to let us know you want one, and then we'll contact you right back and let you know how you can get one. Like, subscribe, hit us up. We are on iHeartRadio. We're on Amazon Podcasts. We're on Spotify. I actually posted the video version of this podcast on Spotify last week just to see, if people like that better or not.
That freaked me out. I was like, what is going on? Am I on YouTube? What's going on? I put my podcast on my face. I said, why?
Yeah, originally, like I had seen other people post their videos on their video podcasts on there, and I like how the audio version comes across. Mm-hmm. It's got a different vibe to it than the video version. But you wanna
yeah, of course,
you want to test it out.
You should have told me you were gonna do that first, because I took my phone out of my pocket, not working. Why am I? I'm scrolling and swiping, and I ain't know what's going on.
I forgot to mention, and I was like, I should probably tell Keyshawn about this.
No, don't tell him.
Freak out.
Don't tell him. He's old. But, he's fine.
Oh my gosh! But for Keyshawn, I am Aramis, and this is the Post Podium Podcast, where we are all truth, no sodium. Key, you got anything?
I got nothing, man. It's like you said, Key, and thanks for being here with me this Saturday afternoon.
All right, that is it. Y'all have a great night.